Honorable Minister, I think we have to say welcome back, being the only Nigerian at the biggest UK event since the funeral of the late Queen Mother in 2002. That's talking about the late Iron Lady's funeral, Baroness Thatcher. So what's the experience representing Nigeria at such a prestigious event?
Well, I was there at the Thatcher's funeral to represent President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. It was a very interesting experience because the event was full of dignitaries from far and near, world leaders who had all come to be part of that ceremony. I must say it was a unique experience, and I was there at least to ensure that Nigeria establishes its own presence because of the cordial relations we have today with the United Kingdom.
Now, let's look at the Bakassi issue, which is still having a strong resonance, even though the verdict was passed in 2002. But the plight of the people living in Bakassi still comes under review. And bearing in mind that a member of the jury, Nigeria's member of the jury, Prince Bola Ajibola, said Nigeria lost the case due to the Anglo-German agreement. What would be your reaction to this?
Prince Bola Ajibola is very correct. You know, he's a renowned jurist. He sat on he was among the panel that examined the whole case at the International Court of Justice. It is true that part of the documents presented to the ICJ was the Anglo-German agreement. When you look at the Anglo-German agreement, at that time, it put Bakassi within the German territory. So, technically, it meant that Bakassi belonged to the German portion of that area. And what then happened thereafter was the Thompson Merchant Declaration, which was codified and also, was accepted as an international agreement. In that declaration, Bakassi was also situated within the German territory. So all these evidences that were tendered, were really technical, and they contributed to the judgment of that court.
Recently, we have the news of 7 French hostages released since February by kidnappers. They've been taken hostages by the kidnappers since February now. But the media just have a scanty details of the release. So could you tell us the condition of the release of these hostages?
What I can tell you straight away is that, first of all, I would want to give thanks to God that the hostages were released unarmed. I had earlier on predicted in another interview that it is the view of government that they will be released unarmed. So I'm very, very happy that this has come and it has happened. We must also acknowledge at this time the efforts of President Goodluck Jonathan, the President of France, and the President of Cameroon for their joint efforts to ensure the release of these hostages, because we were very meticulous to ensure that they were freed, and we're happy that this has happened.
Going by what the French government earlier said, that they wouldn't pay ransom to these kidnappers, was there a ransom paid to ensure their release?
No, I don't think so.
Now, we'll be looking at the Gulf of Guinea. What's the government doing to ensure that piracy is curbed in the Gulf of Guinea?
I believe with what they are doing now, we will see more success in terms of reduction in the cases of piracy. And what I have done also at the level of the foreign ministry, because you have to understand that if there are no foreign buyers, then the sellers will be out of market. So those who are doing the bunkering, they will not be able to sell if there are no foreign ships coming in to buy from them. So what we have done in the foreign ministry is that I invited the envoys of all the countries to a meeting, and I warned them that they must ensure that they talk to all the ship owners, not just in Europe, in Asia, and other parts of the world, that any ship caught on the Nigerian territorial waters will be arrested and the crew will be taken to our law courts here for justice. And it's very clear, because what usually happened in the past is that when foreign ships are arrested with foreign crew, they put some pressure on us, especially through the foreign ministry, asking for their release, and now that they have been warned that we are not going to yield to any pressure, that we will make sure that any ship caught in our waters will be arrested and the crew will face justice. I believe there will be a reduction, drastic reduction in the incidence of foreign ships coming to our territorial waters to steal our oil. It's a very condemnable incident, and we must all condemn it seriously, because it undermines our own economic development.
Now, the proliferation of small and medium-scale arms seems to be giving the government a lot of concern now, and I believe that might have informed the creation of the Committee on Small and Medium-Scale Arms, in which a permanent secretary in your ministry is a member of this committee. So, how would you explain the issue of small and medium-scale arms, and what's the best way of tackling this wave?
Yeah, the committee is supposed to, it's a political process, this issue of small and medium scale arms, because we have challenges, that these are the weapons that are smuggled across the borders to destabilize governments, to destabilize countries. And we believe that once a committee is in place, of course there are other members of the committee from the armed forces, security agencies, intelligence agencies, all who are members. And then they'll be able to meet and get in place strategies to curb these incidents of trafficking in small and medium scale arms, at least in line with the UN best global practices on this issue. And the permanent secretary of my ministry, who is the chairman of the committee, is going to work assiduously to ensure that numbers of strategies are put in place, to ensure that we have strategies that will really help us to stem the tide of this movement. And of course, we will get assistance from the UN, because it operates under the UN system, so that we can have it fully entrenched, and it becomes a standing committee, also working closely with the UN agencies in this direction.
Could you comment on the hotspot of conflict in Africa, especially Nigeria's role in Mali and Guinea-Bissau?
Basically, our role in Mali and Guinea-Bissau is to ensure peace and security in those two countries. Because we believe that a peaceful Mali and peaceful Guinea-Bissau is in our own national interest. Because we don't want a situation where terrorists, criminals, drug traffickers will use those territories to destabilize the West African sub-region. And that is why we've taken a very active role, in fact, leadership role in ensuring peace and security in those two countries.